Napoleon Bonaparte, a figure whose name resonates throughout world history. From a simple soldier on a remote island, he rose to become Emperor of France and nearly conquered all of mainland Europe. Who would have thought? He wasn't a nobleman, far from royal blood, and his words were even the subject of ridicule at military school. Yet, he had a weapon that set him apart: ambitious determination and a piercing wit. The young Napoleon not only attended school, but also filled his time with writing war plans. He studied military history like never before, and when the French Revolution broke out, he knew his time had come. His career skyrocketed, from the nation's youngest general to a symbol of national pride, to finally ascending the throne. He achieved all this not because of his royal blood, but because of his intelligence and success on the battlefield. Napoleon's journey wasn't just filled with glory. He also faced defeat, betrayal, and ultimately exile. Despite this, he remains a figure who inspires hatred, love, fear, and admiration. Who was Napoleon Bonaparte? What is the secret that makes his name so timeless? This is a journey of power, strategy, and the sacrifices made for greatness. On the island of Corsica, a small French territory, Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769. His father was a minor nobleman, but his family life was simple. An environment of poverty and strife shaped Napoleon's childhood. Since childhood, he has devoted himself to learning without relying much on others. He is quiet, has a quick temper, and is very serious. However, his genius is undeniable. He understands history, war tactics, and military calculations in detail. At the age of 9, he entered a military school in France. Instead of being accepted, he was considered strange. His Corsican accent was often laughed at, and he was shunned by the other students. But all the ridicule never broke Napoleon's resolve. He studied tirelessly, devouring books on war tactics, biographies of kings, and philosophical thought. He wanted one thing: the highest possible position. At the age of 16, he graduated as a young lieutenant in the artillery. Despite his young age, he was already determined to achieve greatness. As the French Revolution raged, Napoleon seized a great opportunity. Amidst the collapse of the old regime and the chaos of the country, an opportunity arose for ordinary people to become extraordinary. When the French Revolution began in 1789, kings lost power, the nobility was targeted, and the country was in ruins. It was at this moment that Napoleon found his opportunity. His first major achievement came at Toulon, when he successfully expelled royalist forces from that important port. Despite being only 24 years old, he was quickly promoted to generals. Massive riots suddenly broke out in Paris. The government was under attack, and the situation was critical. Napoleon was immediately summoned. He positioned his cannons precisely, striking the rebels. In an instant, the chaos subsided. The government was secure, and he was seen as the savior of the nation. A year later, Napoleon was sent to lead the war in Italy. The troops he led were in dire straits, hungry, weak, and on the verge of despair. But he demonstrated his leadership by marching, eating hard bread, and sleeping on the ground, just like his soldiers. With incredible speed, he conquered vast territories. He crushed even much larger opponents. In just a few months, he had shaken up the power landscape in Europe. He was known for his lightning-fast and dangerous strategies. His troops moved swiftly, attacking vital enemy points, cutting off the flow of supplies, and depressing enemy morale. The brilliant victory in Italy elevated Napoleon's name to fame throughout France. He was hailed as nothing less than the savior of the Republic. For Napoleon, success wasn't the end. He wanted more, aspiring not just to appear in history, but to be its architect. Napoleon understood one thing: military victory was not merely glory, but a ladder to power. In 1799, France was on the verge of collapse. Corruption was widespread, and the people were exhausted. Upon his return to Egypt, Napoleon seized a golden opportunity. Through a coup, he succeeded in overthrowing the government. Napoleon then became the new leader, not a king, but a supreme consul. The culmination of that ambition came in 1804. Napoleon, in front of the Pope and all of Europe, proclaimed himself Emperor of the French. Instead of waiting for a coronation, he seized the crown from the Pope and donned it himself, declaring, "My power comes from myself, not from anyone else's blessing." The journey of conquest began. Napoleon led his armies against Austria, Russia, Prussia, and even Spain, and each battle added to his list of victories. At Austerlitz, Napoleon not only won, but also made history. Two empires were defeated, and the battle was hailed as a masterpiece of warfare. From then on, laws were changed, alliances were forged, and France's shadow loomed over Europe. He transformed the old world. The thrones of the old kings crumbled, replaced by new rules. Amidst this whirlwind of history, only one figure stood out: Napoleon. But the greater the power, the greater the challenge. England was unwavering, Russia was standing tall, and arrogance began to cloud his sanity. He was caught up in his own ambitions, pushing troops into fields that were too vast and too far. This was the pinnacle of Napoleon's journey. He single-handedly controlled the future of millions of lives. In 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia with 600,000 troops. But the Russians chose not to fight directly. They retreated, leaving their cities burning, and left the rest to winter. His troops were trapped in the bitter cold, with empty stomachs and enemy attacks from all directions. Only about 100,000 returned home alive, marking the beginning of a major downfall. The European alliance attacked together, driving France back. In 1814, Paris was captured. Napoleon was deposed, and he was eventually exiled to Elba. The exile didn't last long. Within a year, Napoleon fled Elba, and as soon as he set foot in France, the people rose to greet him. Instead of being captured, the troops sent turned to support him. Napoleon regained power, and that brief period went down in history as the 100 Days. At Waterloo, everything collapsed. British forces and their allies utterly defeated Napoleon. After his surrender, Napoleon was no longer exiled near home. Now he has been thrown far away to St. Helena Island, in the middle of the vast Atlantic Ocean. His days on the island were spent under strict supervision. He wrote down his life story in writing, pondered a lot, until he died in 1821. It wasn't war that took him, but the long silence and exile. Eventually, he went into exile, but his influence lived on beyond death. More than just a ruler or military leader, Napoleon became an icon of ambition, strategic genius, and the social change he instigated. Napoleon created the Napoleonic Code, a body of law that has remained influential until modern times. He also reorganized education, taxes, and government bureaucracy. Napoleon created the Napoleonic Code, a body of law that has remained influential until modern times. He also reorganized education, taxes, and government bureaucracy. Despite his reverence, he was not without criticism. His burning ambitions led to numerous deaths on the European continent, earning him the reputation of an insatiable dictator. He can be seen as a genius or a tyrant, but one thing is certain: no one in modern history has had as great an impact as Napoleon Bonaparte. His legacy is etched in the pages of history, his face carved into monuments, and his story born on the battlefield. Leaders, thinkers, and even students still examine his footsteps. He transformed not only his nation, but also the world's perception of power. This is the life journey of Napoleon Bonaparte, from a simple soldier to a person who changed the course of world history. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Relic Saga channel. If you have any other interesting characters to discuss, please share them in the comments.